Health equity is defined as every person having fair opportunity to attain their full health potential, and that no one should be disadvantaged from achieving this potential. It is through this lens we will be exploring the health equity challenges that face the community of Westbury. According to the Family Life Centre in Coronationville, the key challenges confronting young people in the community of Westbury include unsupported unplanned pregnancy, particularly amongst young people, substance abuse and dependence by children below the ages of 10, and neglect of infants born to teen mothers. Unemployment, poverty, and inequality undergird these issues. In this documentary, we investigate the challenges and perceptions on adolescent pregnancies in the community and hear from experts who are tackling these challenges.
IBIS, over the years, IBIS opened in the South Africa office over 16 years ago, and over those years, we've worked with, I'll say, over 50 NGOs in the country, from very grassroots, youth-led, to like your big NGOs, to your government sort of partners. And within the reproductive health space in particular, adolescent reproductive health is a really main sort of concern. Teenage pregnancy is a huge concern. And I think when we speak about issues of equity, of course, we often speak about the girl child and how we need to actually empower them with both information and motivation, actually negotiate some of what has been culturally constructed norms around sexuality and sex and issues of power and gender roles within sexuality.
Teenage pregnancy influx, I think it is influx. And it's so sad that children under the age of 20 sitting with more than 2 to 3 kids. We know the stats for teenage pregnancy is very, 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 very high.
Let me just maybe give you some stats. Okay, last year we had a big year. Last year we had 20 pregnancies. Okay, we have a population of 742 girls. We had 11 grade 12 learners last year. 11 of them. And then we had a grade 9 learner that fell pregnant last year, and we've had younger learners in the past as well. As young as 14. So yeah, it's a problem. Okay, this year we on 11. But let me just add, that's reported pregnancies. Sometimes the pregnancy is not reported. And then when the child drops out, we will then phone and inquire, the girl hasn't been at school, and then we will be told that the learner has dropped out.
We live in a country where we have a lot of teen pregnancies, and last year we actually experienced even younger teens getting pregnant. We had like the highest number of younger teens getting pregnant, your 11, 12-year-olds in schools. And then those kids until probably grade 10, if they do fall pregnant, the likelihood of them finishing matric is very slim.
Look, I'm pro-kid. I am pro-children. I love kids. I may not have of my own, but I love kids, So for me, abortion is out of it. It is really out of the case. Don't even bring it to me. I'm not even going to debate it with you.
Is that a religious choice?
For me, it is.
Okay.
And also a personal thing. I love kids, and most importantly, it's a religious thing for me.
Well, first of all, to have a kid, you need proper finance. So if that kid won't accept the abortion, then they're just fooling themselves. I know in certain religions you have to keep the child, but you need to keep in consideration before you go and you open your legs. Finance.
And especially, like I just said, with our background, remember, so we believe in God, and the Bible says that you should not kill. Mm-hmm. And for us, we would be like, you should keep this child, whatever the case may be. But ultimately, it is the person's decision.
So do you think that religion is preventing young people from getting contraceptives? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. There's a shame factor to it.
Yeah.
we as believers were taught, and this is what the Bible says, you know, you need to be married and have sex with your husband and your wife when you marry.
Yeah.
I think in the mainstream churches, you very often find that it's very much abstinence, abstinence, abstinence. But again, you have to give kids the option. You have to then rather appeal to their sense of conscience. Am I making the right choices for myself, for my future, come from that aspect.
So we discuss it in class, but not enough of it is discussed outside of class. And it also, I feel, I might be wrong, I feel that as educators we sometimes don't talk enough about it. Some teachers might even avoid talking about it.
The other thing is also lack of CSE, of course, in schools, or at least lack of expanded, comprehensive sexuality education in school, whereby we find ourselves still having to try and lobby teachers to kind of offer it. So if you still have to convince a teacher to provide this information, we have a long way to go.
And I can say to you, the Westbury Clinic sisters, they go out there and they preach the gospel. They don't only come to the Westbury Youth Center. There's also a space at their place where they give talks about teenage pregnancy. They tell them the do's and the don'ts and muni di duni, muni da duni.
I do feel that there is attitude towards healthcare providers because I've actually experienced it myself with one of my friends that fell pregnant, where the nurses were extremely hectic with her and they didn't want to help her at all. So I can say that I have seen it and it is true.
Vanita?
I definitely think that there is a type of way that, healthcare providers treat young people that fall pregnant or whatever the case may be, or come in with maybe they've picked up an STD or whatever the case may be.
I've heard of stories, where youngsters would come into the hospital, obviously during labor, and they're experiencing all this pain, and you have nurses saying, "Ja, jy wil mos lê. Ja, jy wil mos. Jy sal al lê in pain, and that's the kind of attitude that they have. So I don't know if it's people that actually love the fact that they are nurses or just doing it for a paycheck.
Then the other thing is this, it's free at clinics, but often the clinics are not user-friendly. They would ask kids, why are you here? What are you doing? Why do you need a condom? Why do you want to go on the pill? You shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't, and it's very judgmental. So kids would rather hold back and fingers crossed and hope that they don't fall pregnant.
I believe young parents today don't talk to their kids about sexuality, about teenage pregnancy, about HIV. They expect the school to do that because that's our job. That's how I feel. I also feel that the parents today are much younger. They are like children themselves, The parents are becoming younger, so because they felt maybe at a young age, maybe it's not important enough to talk to their kids about not falling pregnant. So I think parental involvement is lacking. Definitely our parents do not speak about pregnancy, especially contraception, HIV. They might be speaking about it, but are they speaking about it enough? And how many of our parents are actually talking to their girl and boy lovers about things like that?
Parents also feel that if they do talk about that, or teachers or whoever adults, it's almost giving them license. Go out there now, you'll be protected. So go out there and have sex. And people are reluctant to send that message. That's the one thing.
I think it stems down from these grants that are given out. So there's a stigma around it that people are just getting pregnant to get free money, unfortunately. So there has been an increase. Look, our communities are struggling financially. So anything that will bring in money, and I might even cause controversy about what I'm saying, and offense to a lot of people by what I'm saying. But in actual fact, I think that's what it is.
Kids today there's been multiple pregnancies as a result of poverty and because they're getting SASA. SASA contributes to maintaining a household.
So you get a teenager that got like 5 children, 6 children for crying out aloud, just to receive that 350 rand per month. And what do they do about it? They spend it on alcohol, they spend it on drugs. And the children don't get that benefit of the bread, the milk, whatever they need to buy in the house. That's what's happening in the Westbury community.
For some, it's an out because it's 350 rand that I can get almost what they think for doing nothing, but they don't realize the full impact of that. But I don't think that it's that much of an encouragement. It's just that when you do fall pregnant, it's almost like, well, oh, I've got a safety net, there's 350 rand coming in. Whereas if it wasn't there, maybe, just maybe, you'd stop and think twice. There isn't going to be that safety net.
A significant number of, fathers of kids, of teen mothers are fairly older than the girl children. And very often it's because of factors that has to do with, transactional sort of relationships. There was this, misconception around, the grants and how they actually contribute to young people for them pregnant. And we know now that it has nothing to do with, actually, most of the young people don't even access the social grants. So we know it's not that. However, your blesser phenomena, your sugar daddy phenomena, which unfortunately is often glamorized, like is often spoken about, from our media productions to just about everything as this funny thing, and there's nothing funny about it.
I think conversations needs to start. Mm-hmm. And it has to be consistent conversations. It mustn't just be a conversation today and then next year you're going to take it to another conversation. It has to be consistent conversation. Because we have the tendency of starting something and stopping before we even see traction, or we even see a difference. And I think that will help reduce, probably, because now you're able to then teach these young girls. You teach them their worth. Most importantly, teach these young girls their worth. Teach these young girls that there's a future beyond just falling pregnant and having sex. Build a life for yourself first.
Education. I think prevention is better than cure. I know it's silly, stupid, and I know many principals wouldn't agree with me, but I don't see why we cannot give out condoms at school. We need to find people who have loved the experience, who have loved the stress, the pressures, and I think practical exposure and practically presenting or talking about the dangers involved in teenage pregnancy might change things.
We've seen that it's really important for us to find a way to incorporate CSE as a module for pre-training, like in universities. So before you come through and you qualify as a teacher, you have to take a CSE module. And at least they can come from, training with that basic, the bachelor's of education with that, sort of background. And hopefully that's gonna make them feel more prepared to actually teach.
Getting outside people to come into schools to do sexual talks and relationship stuff. Because when it's the teacher, the pupil then sees the teacher as a sexual being and may, act out on it. Or alternatively, the kids don't want to ask questions because then the teacher's going to see them as sexual beings and make judgments. So getting outside agencies in to talk about it, they do their thing, they move out, but get the parents buy-in as well.
Through the recommendations posed in the documentary, we can form strategic plans that would focus on pregnancy prevention through the promotion of information and services on adolescent sexual reproductive health and rights while strengthening existing interventions.